Would you like to overcome unwanted intrusive thoughts in a relationship and discover intrusive thoughts therapy, treatment, and cure? I'm Antje Boyd, founder and creator of the Magnetize Your Man method. And look, who wants to have intrusive thoughts, right? So what I would love to do first is actually talk about the different kinds of intrusive thoughts that are coming into our life and that are so not welcome. So the first intrusive thoughts that we have has everything to do with doubt, right? So think about like all the doubts, like I'm not good enough, I'm not pretty enough, I'm not smart enough, he's gonna go for someone else, right? So also in that whole doubt category goes also comparing yourselves as well. Jealousy falls into that category as well. Now, another one that's really important to know is about safety, right? You're simply not quite feeling safe to express something, to be in a relationship, and to feel truly worthy of the relationship. So we're going to go into several treatments and cures that you can apply right away that help you to overcome those unwanted intrusive thoughts. So treatment number one is embrace the doubt. Embrace the doubt, girlfriend. So what I see so often when the single successful women come to me, right, is like when they have like doubtful thoughts inside of themselves, what oftentimes happens is that they are really resisting it, right? They're like, Antje, something is wrong. I have this doubtful thought that it may not last, or that he's not the right one, or that I'm not the right one, or that he's going to leave me, or whatever the case may be. Now, in the meanwhile, keep in mind that oftentimes nothing has even happened. So simply the space, right, leads to them having doubt. Now, that shows you a couple of things. For one, it shows you that it's not based on any logical appearance outside of yourself, which is good news. Why is that good news? Because that means you can actually see, okay, wow, it's emotional. It comes from my past. Okay, so what can I do instead? Now I invite you to embrace that uncomfortable emotion that you have inside of yourself. So let's say you're feeling comparing-gitis. I call it comparing-gitis, right? Like you're comparing yourself. You don't want to compare yourself. You don't want to feel that sense of shame or that, shame is like a really good one, that not good enoughness, that sense of inadequacy. Now I invite you to actually lean into it, say yes to it, and allow that doubt to be an informant for you to see, interesting, what's going on here? Like, why don't I quite feel safe enough yet? And we will go into that later on, to be in that relationship and to maintain that relationship. Okay, so keep that in mind, embrace the doubt. Treatment number two is confuse your brain. So look, when I gave my first talk at Toastmasters, some of you may know that, I actually was talking about how I was confusing my own brain because I wanted to break my own thought patterns, right? Now, you ask yourself, how do I do that? Wait, why would I confuse my brain? Well, you want to confuse your brain because you want to break down the existing structure. It's almost like thinking more of a chemical, a chain reaction in your brain. You want to interrupt that. So you can build a new neuronal pathway in your brain. Now, how do you do that? Okay, so I'll give you an example. So sometimes when I drive and I feel like, let's say annoyed by the person that drives in front of me, guess what I do? I may express like that anger, right? Like, right? But I say, what a funny bunny, right? So I say something funny. So the words are funny, right? But the energy I say it with is quite intense, It's like maybe it's angry. Now, what does the brain do in that moment? It's like, wait a minute, you're saying something angry in an angry way, but you're saying it in a funny way. Yeah, like you're not matching the words with your tonality. And so it completely confuses the brain, it collapses, and it gives you the chance to build new neuronal pathways. So really, really exciting. Treatment number 3 is context over content. So oftentimes I see my women that come to me, that work in my program with me, getting caught up in the content, right? Oh my God, I just thought he's gonna leave me. We've been dating for 4 months. Nothing amazing, nothing bad happened, right? But I just had this thought come into my mind. Oh, he's probably dating somebody else. Like something is not quite right, It's probably not gonna last. And so I say, hold on a second. I'm not even interested right now what you're thinking and what's that all about. What is happening right now in your life that this is coming up? Now we're talking about that as the context, right? So, right now I feel quite stressed because I have like long hours at work, or the last week or so I have not been able to get enough sleep, or I was just talking to my negative friend, and I already had like this negative pattern inside of myself, that energetic pattern. And now I project that negativity onto myself and see, where can I create that inside of myself, right? So ask yourself, what is the context when you experience that negative thought pattern, right? Like what's been happening, so many times I cannot tell you, when you actually backtrack, you're actually finding, oh, wow, this is what just happened 2 hours ago, 24 hours ago, 2 weeks ago. So you would be really surprised what the real reason of the negative intrusive thoughts are that are so unwanted. So try it out. So treatment number 4 is visualize space. Now, what happens so often is that we feel actually quite constricted when we feel this negative thought come into our world, right? Because we're like, oh no, I don't want to feel this, right? Like you're tensing up, your body tenses up, your muscles are tensing up, your jawbone tenses up, everything tenses up. And so what you want to be aware of is like, what happens if you introduce space? So what you can do it in a couple of different ways. So on the one hand, now I introduced it on a physical level. So I literally felt like my space expanded in between my cells, in between my muscles, in between my fiber of my body, right? It's almost like my lung is being expanding, right? Like my heart is relaxing, right? Like my diaphragm is relaxing. Everything is like really relaxing, right? You can also do something else, a few more visual. Now, not everyone is visual. I'm not really that much into that category, but some of you are. What helps me is visualize space. So as you imagine, like normally it would be like, oh my gosh, it's right in front of me. It's so tight. It's all around me. I can barely breathe. I'm suffocating, right? And so I would visualize as if the energy is like out here, as if I have like this bubble around me, right? So out of the sudden, my nervous system starts to relax because I feel now, I have different options. I have different perspectives. See, this is the other piece too. When you experience intrusive thoughts, is you feel like you don't have any other perspective, right? There's so much attachment and anxiety happening, and your brain is deleting everything, right? And now when you introduce space visually, or you can feel it in your body, you actually remind yourself unconsciously, there's different angles, point of views, perspectives from which I can move from, which means how wonderful. I have different choices. I have a selection. I have what? Freedom. And then with that recognition that you then have inside of yourself, you feel so much more relaxed, at ease. And now you get to know, I can actually choose a different thought, right? Okay. And secret number 5 is change the voice. Now, hold on. What do I mean by that? This is actually my favorite thing. I learned it from Tony Robbins years and years ago. And think about it this way. So what you want to do is when you have this negative thought, right? Let's say you're not good enough, right? So you have this like really aggressive thought inside of yourself. Now, what's interesting about that is it has what? It has authority, right? So what you want to do is you want to take authority away from that thought. Now, how do you take authority away? Well, for one, you can introduce a very playful voice, right? So imagine, like, let's say you're Daisy Duck or Donald Duck, right? Or you're like Mickey Mouse, and you're like, you're not good enough, you're not good enough. Or, you have like this really high pitch, you have this really high voice, or you have this really playful voice. Out of the sudden, not so much authority anymore. Out of the sudden, you're not taking it so seriously anymore, right? Now, another way you can also change the modality of the delivery of the voice as well is by the speed. So for example, what would happen if you slow it down? So what if it says, you are not good enough. Now what happens is when you do that is something happens that's called awareness, consciousness, because you start to ask yourself, you, who is me? Who is you? What are? So there's so much space in between the words, right? That then actually, again, creates this freedom, creates the sense of choice. I can say, oh, we, nobody, everybody, right? So out of the sudden, all those words are no longer connecting with each other. And you notice, wow, I can replace that word with another word. Okay? Yeah, was that helpful for you? I hope so. Join me on many more videos on this YouTube channel. Subscribe to my channel if you liked it. Of course, like it, share it with your friends. And of course, if you want to learn more about yourself, well, where are you on this sort of scale? What's coming up for you? Self-doubt, anxiety, you're not able to set boundaries. Then I highly recommend taking my Magnetize Your Man quiz, where you get so much more insight about yourself and you also get some yummy, juicy gifts at the end. So highly recommend that. So for that, hop on over to magnetizeyourman.com, or you can just grab the link right below this video. Ladies, this is it for today. I hope you enjoyed it just as much as I did. I'm Antje Boyd and I will talk to you next time. Take care. Bye-bye. Mwah!